If you have been feeling lost and out of touch with yourself, drifting in the aftermath of a narcissistic relationship, this episode is going to teach you how to find yourself again. Welcome to Heartbreak to Wholeness, the podcast helping you heal from the mindfuck of narcissistic relationships and move towards the secure, peaceful woman you want to become. I am your host, Brie Walta, relationship clarity coach and EFT certified practitioner. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Heartbreak to Wholeness. One of the most painful questions that I asked myself when I was recovering from my narcissistic relationship was, who am I without him? Have you asked yourself that? When you've been in a relationship that has consumed you piece by piece until you don't even recognize yourself anymore, recovery can feel impossible. Trying to figure out who you are again can feel impossible. Because how do you rebuild a life when you're not sure what foundation to rebuild on? I remember totally looking in the mirror and feeling like a complete stranger. So if you've ever thought, they took everything from me, I don't even recognize myself anymore, this episode is for you. Today, you're going to learn the hidden ways that this identity loss really keeps you stuck. You are going to learn the lie that kept you tied to him and the truth that can set you free. And you're going to get the powerful next step to take right now, today, to help find yourself again. And remember to stick around to the end of the episode where I will pull an oracle card that will offer you a message that you can use this week to stay more anchored in your healing. There really are layers of painful experiences within a narcissistic relationship. And one of those layers that was most painful for me was the aftermath of the relationship and feeling like I had lost myself completely. I was frightened, I was enraged, I was sad, and I didn't even realize that this was happening throughout the relationship. I had been with my narcissistic ex for almost 4 years, and by the end of it, I had been completely whittled away from the woman that I was when we first started dating. And it happens slowly, which is part of the mindfuck and the confusion because we don't understand where and how it went wrong. But in looking back in hindsight at my last relationship, I was able to see these micro moments where I would make decisions that would chip away a piece of myself in order to keep him happy. So maybe for you, that also looked like giving up your hobbies or giving up your friends or giving up that you really wanted to go dancing on a Friday night because you just didn't want to fight about it anymore. Or maybe you bent yourself into shapes just to keep the peace. Or maybe you silenced your needs because you were tired of trying to explain them and they just started feeling like too much. So much so that you've forgotten what your needs are. And if you have a need, you immediately think that it's too big of a need, that you shouldn't be this needy. And after you get out of this relationship where you've had parts of yourself been continuously taken from you, you're left with like an emptiness. You don't know what you need, what you want, or what you even like anymore. The visual that I love for this is something that I call the island of you. So go with me here for a minute. If you imagine being on an island of all the things that make you who you are, your friends, your hobbies, the foods you like, the things you like to do, your passions, your purpose, right? You're living on this island and it is just everything that you love and want in your life. And then one day you see a sailor start to approach your island. And this sailor is coming in on his sailboat and you're intrigued. You're seeing him start to approach you. You can see that he looks very cute and charismatic and sexy in his little sailor outfit. I don't know. He's coming towards you and you want to learn more about him. So when he gets to the island, you guys start having conversation about who he is and who you are. And he shows you so much desire. He's so interested in you. He wants to know your island. He wants to know who you are. And you've never been, it's felt like you've never had someone take this much of an interest in you before. So you're telling him about you. And then he starts talking about his adventure that he's going on. And this promise of this island that you guys can go to together and the adventure that you'll have getting there. And he's like, come on my boat. Come with me to this new island. And because you're swept up in the excitement and the desire of it all, and you feel really wanted and chosen and loved, you go with him on his boat and you start this journey and you start to see the island of you get farther and farther away. And you're aware of this in the beginning because you're like, oh, I'm learning someone new. I'm bringing someone into my life. Of course, I'm going to make some compromises on things that I like to do, or who I am as a single person looks different than who I am in a relationship. But then you start to sail farther from your island until you are in the middle of the ocean. And once you're in the middle of the ocean, the relationship starts to change. It doesn't feel as exciting. He isn't this joyful, loving sailor anymore. He starts to dismiss you and starts to pick at you and call you names and make you think you're doing everything wrong. And you recognize, like, oh God, this doesn't feel good anymore. I can't see my island. I can't see any island. I don't even know where we were going. He never actually took us to this other island that we were supposed to go to. I'm just left in the middle of the ocean. And you feel completely dependent on him. As the relationship starts to further deteriorate, he actually throws you off the boat and speeds away. So you are left in the middle of this ocean, like Rose from the Titanic, just drifting on your fucking door with no islands in sight, nobody there to save you, totally unmoored from anything that gives you a sense of grounding or safety, getting smacked in the face by these waves of emotion from what just happened and the heartbreak that ensued. And you feel so far, far away from who you were and totally unsure how you actually got there. I know when I was drifting in the middle of my ocean, I was saying things like, how did I let this happen? Or I would be crying over him and I would be tired of trying to figure out what happened and try to figure him out and Googling all the things about narcissists and what that experience is like. And part of me just wanted to move on. I just wanted to stop crying over him. So maybe you've been there. Maybe you've tried the distractions. Maybe you've tried making new routines for yourself. Maybe you've even tried a new relationship. And you're recognizing that none of that is actually filling this void that you have within yourself. You're still like, I don't feel grounded. I don't know who I am at my core. And the real bitch of this is that emptiness breeds shame, which brings more pain on top of the pain that you're already feeling. It's like you start to believe that you're broken and that you'll never get back to who you are. You are angry because you let him do this to you, right? Let being in air quotes. It was your fault that he did this to you, that you didn't walk away at the first red flag. You are grieving the parts of yourself that you can't find anymore, that joy, that confidence, that spark. And that grief is paralyzing. Oh my gosh, is it paralyzing? You are not just mourning the relationship, you're mourning yourself. I had a client say to me once, Bree, I don't want to be with him, but I don't know who I am without him. And she could really identify that she stayed for years with this guy because she knew how to play the part of his girlfriend. That was familiar. It was expected. Even though it was painful and it was shit and it was causing her to be in tears most of the time and be in anxiety all of the time, she's like, I knew how to do that. It was less scary than venturing outside of the relationship, leaving the relationship, and not knowing who she was. Being alone in that new who am I terrain was scarier than staying in the relationship until it wasn't. And that was what helped her actually finally get out of the relationship. But it's so scary. It's so scary to think about being alone. It's scary to think about having to reinvent yourself or to refine yourself or rebuild yourself, right? But the truth is, you can't rebuild a life on a foundation of self-loss. That foundation is way too shaky. So until you reclaim your identity, until you pour that solid foundation, recovery and healthy relationships will always feel out of reach. The experience that you're going through right now of not knowing who you are feels really hard to navigate and to be in because identity loss really fucks with every part of your life. You struggle to make decisions because you don't trust yourself. And how does this show up for you? This could be that you can't make a decision about what order you want at Starbucks. Or it can be a decision about not knowing what job to take or what town to move to, or if you want children. And indecision costs you energetically. You spend so much energy going back and forth, weighing the options. And when we're doing that, we actually really think that we are being thorough by weighing the pros and cons and revisiting it over and after days and days. And what's really happening is that we're just keeping this tab, we're keeping this mental tab open in our brain that is leaking energy. If you think about a computer, you have too many tabs open, your computer is going to freeze and it's going to shut down. And so when we leave that tab open of, do I want this? Do I not want this? Should I do this? Should I not do this? And we waffle back and forth and we're revisiting those pages, we're not closing any of that energy out. We are just draining ourselves. And I know you know this frustration, this struggle, because I know it too. Or you're just like, why can't I make a decision? Why don't I know what I want? And that comes from not trusting yourself. That comes from not knowing who you are, what you need, what you want, what you stand for. It's so painful. Another way that this affects your life is that you're not setting good boundaries. You maybe don't believe that you deserve to have needs in a relationship, or maybe you don't know what those needs are. In either case, you're not setting boundaries with your friends or your family or your work. So you're continuing to be that people pleaser in your family and have people walk all over you. You are exhausted because you say yes to everything because you're afraid of saying no and somebody getting upset with you. And you're leaving your needs on the back burner, right? You are sacrificing your time for other people, which leaves no time for your therapy or your coaching or your journaling or your walks or your exercise or whatever it is that brings you that cup filling feeling in your life. So you're tired. You're tired from that angle too. And another thing that happens when you feel like you've lost yourself is that you isolate from your friends and your family because you don't actually know how to connect with them without performing. Or you're seeing the dysfunction in these relationships now and you don't vibe with them anymore, but you also don't know who you actually do or will vibe with. So you're just left in this limbo place of feeling like you're losing people, but not replenishing with friendships that actually fuel you, that actually fill you up. This is costing you in so many areas of your life, not just in the heartbreak section of trying to heal from your last relationship. When you're floating in the middle of the ocean and you don't feel safe, you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going, you are getting smacked in the face by those waves of emotion, and all the while you're seeing your friends just speed by on their speedboats, pulling their other friends in the inner tube, laughing the day away, living their life. Life is moving forward, but you feel so stuck in that place, still defined by somebody who does not deserve to have that power over you because you've been under that power and control for too long. Here's the lie that you have been told. You have been told that you will never be whole without him, that you will never be loved like he is able to love you, that no one will actually want you, that he completed you, and without him, you are nothing. And I want to tell you, I want you to hear this so fucking crystal clear right now, that is just a residue of control and manipulation. That is not truth. The truth is, the real you never disappeared. The real you never needed him in the first place. She might be buried, she might be bruised, she might be heartbroken, she might be confused, but she is not destroyed. And the moment that you start to reclaim that identity piece by piece, that you start to find her again, that's when you can actually recover. That's when recovery from these narcissistic, painful relationships become possible. It's like you get out from underneath their puppeteering little hands and you get to be your full self, no strings attached to anyone else. Because I know that you want to feel that freedom. I know that you want to feel at home in your body. I know that you want to have an answer to the question of what do you like to do for fun? I know you want to hear your own voice again. I know that you want to trust your choices. I know that you want to feel carefree and peaceful and bright, like strolling down Main Street, window shopping, taking your sweet time, sipping your pumpkin spice latte, grinning from ear to ear. Right. As painful as an ending of something like this is, it really does also give you that space and that opportunity to create that new foundation, to be rooted in who you actually are, not in who they wanted you to be. Can you imagine waking up and knowing what you need, what you want, how you want to spend your time, and feeling zero guilt for doing that? Can you imagine building a life where you feel whole, where you are so unattached to needing a man that you actually are able to attract one that is healthy? That's my story. That's what happened to me. I met my now husband when I was so good being alone. I was like, I'm going to be single forever and I'm going to love it. I knew exactly who I was after I had just rebuilt myself from the ashes. And he presented, and it was like I could move into that space of that healthy dynamic because I was not needing anything from him. I was not seeking. I was not feeling incomplete. I was my whole, complete, authentic self and could bring that to start to build a foundation with him. So it's possible. It might not feel possible in this moment, but I know that if you have made it this far in this episode, that I'm speaking your language. This is your story. You're in this place of having lost yourself and really wanting to find yourself. And there's a part of you who resonates with being willing to do whatever it takes to build your whole self so that you can create that foundation. Recovery is not out of reach. You just need the right tools and the right map to help you get back to your island. This is the work that I am so passionate to do with my clients. And when I walk them through my program called Becoming, that is what we're doing. We're walking step by step with other women who are ready to rebuild their identity, are ready to heal from their narcissistic relationships, to cut the ties, the tethers, find the freedom that they are so desperately wanting and fully step into who they are again. So if you're ready to reconnect with who you were before him, or to maybe find yourself for that first time in your life, finally, please go to the show notes and click the link to schedule your free intro session, because you don't have to stay lost. You can come back to you. And with that, let's tune into the deck here and just see what the message is that wants to come out for you today. And the card is Look Up Precious. So I'm going to find the card in the book, and this is what it says. Look up, precious. Shame doesn't live here. Raise your eyes and stand tall. Others may have hurt you or sent you messages that you are not enough. They were wrong. You are enough. You are lovable. You are whole. Look up, precious reminds you that you are worthy. No need to cast your gaze down any longer. Raise your eyes and find your balance. Be courageous and be bold. Look around you and see your place. Look Up Precious gives you the ability to spin and dance with a 360-degree view of this world where you are perfectly placed and perfectly whole. So good. Please let those words just soak deep into your bones, into your whole, or into your soul, rather. You are worthy and you are whole is what I was trying to say. You deserve to find the freedom. You deserve to find the healing. You don't need to do this alone. Please go to the show notes, schedule your intro session. I would love to meet you, learn more about where you are. We can talk specifically about how my program can help you get what you are so desperately craving, help you find yourself and rebuild your life. So until I see you in your intro session or in the next episode, please remember that you are not alone.